All right, guys, we're going to hop right into the product training. Today's topic, what we're going to be talking about, is the Americo, the Eagle Premier Series, which is one of their final expense products. If you're not familiar with Americo, I would definitely recommend get familiar with them. It's a great carrier. They've got a great lineup of products. Now, you know that our bread and butter is final expense. So I'm really going to be talking about the final expense product today, but they do have other products. They've got a mortgage protection product. They've got a term product. They've got, quite a few good products in their lineup. I'm just in the beginning stages of learning about their products, and I feel like I've done enough homework where I can really do a great presentation on this Eagle Premier series. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. The one thing that if you're looking at the Americo products, the one thing for me anyway, which was a little bit confusing, is that they actually have two final expense products. Okay, and this is just kind of a final expense product at a glance. They have what they call the Ultra Protector. Okay, that's the one that's been out for a long time. That's kind of their old product. It is a paper application only. You can't submit by phone. You can't do an e-application. It's a paper app, somewhat similar if you're familiar with like Transamerica, where you have level benefit, then standard, and then graded. They have the same thing. Theirs is the Ultra Protector 1, which is their it's same day coverage. You got to be in pretty good health. Ultra Protector 2, which is still same day coverage, but they'll allow a few more health impairments, but with a higher rate. And then Ultra Protector 3, which is their graded product. Okay. We are not going to be talking about that product today. I just want to inform you to let you know that there are two specific but very different final expense products. I feel like the one that we're going to be using the most is the Eagle Premier. And the reason why is because more and more agents are looking for avenues or looking for products that they can either sell over the phone or they can do an e-application in the home and get an instant decision. And man, they really did a nice job of putting this product together. So that's one of the big selling benefits of Eagle Premier is being able to do an e-application face-to-face, get an instant decision 100% of the time. Okay. So with that, let's just talk about who is Americo. If you've never heard of them, they're actually one of the largest independent insurance companies in the nation. They've got over 6.6 billion in consolidated life assets with with their company and their holding companies. They've been around. You can trace their roots back for over 100 years. They do business in every state in the country except New York, which is not a big deal because we don't do business there anyway. Okay. They are an excellent AM Best rated company, so you can feel good about presenting this product. You know it's an A rated company through AM Best. Okay, that's who Americo is. They have a great agent website. If you have not logged in or you're not familiar with their website, it's Americo.com. Here it is right here. And then agent login. What you need to do as you get contracted with Americo, just simply go to the website. Well, you're going to get your credentials, but just go in and create your profile. And I've been messing around with their website, guys. It's really robust. There's a lot of great information. It's very easy to navigate, and they really have amazing training on their website. And this is where I've got a lot of the material that I'm going to cover today is from training material and webinars that I've been looking over on their actual website. Okay, this is what it looks like when you log in. What I like about this is that instantly, as soon as you log in, there's a dashboard where you can look at all your submitted business. You can look at what's paid. The cool thing is if you're doing Eagle Premier, everything should be submitted and paid and placed almost instantly. Okay. So as you can see here, you can check my business, my profile, forms, product supplies, sales tools. There's a ton of webinars on there. Sales connection, this is where you would go in if you wanted to submit an e-application, which I'm going to cover here in just a minute. Final wishes, they have a lot of great marketing materials. I know typically agents are ordering the Memorial Guide from Mutual of Omaha. Here's another one if you want to order it from Americo. It's the My Wishes Planning Guide. It's got a ton of great information. So kind of giving you an option. You can either order this one or do the one from Mutual of Omaha. Just to give you an idea of some of the things that they are offering. The other thing that Americo offers, which is really cool, especially for, I think this is great for agents that are not yet contracted, but are in the process of getting contracted. Americo's got all these things that they call microsites. Microsites are websites that you can go into without any credentials. They're totally open to the public, but you can get amazing training. If you want to find out about their MedSup, if you want to do the final expense, they have two websites for the final expense. This is the one I would recommend going to, the Americo EaglePremierSeries.com. There's information, there's webinars. You can get a ton of information right off of there. You want to find out about their mortgage protection product, but you're not contracted yet, or even if you are contracted, just type in AmericoUltraProtector.com. And you can find out about the mortgage protection product. This is what it looks like, sales connection. What I'm going to talk about right now is just very quickly, I'm going to cover very easily how you would do an e-application, okay? So the first thing you want to do when you're in the home, and if you're going to submit an e-application, you have to have an internet connection, and you need to have your credentials. You cannot do an e-application if you're not licensed with them. And you have to have a writing number, and you have to have your website credentials. Once you're logged in, you're going to click on the sales connection. Very, very simple. They really made this very easy. Right here, new application. Then you're going to select the product. So in this example, I'm going to be doing the Eagle Premier Series, and you're just going to fill in all the information. Where are you taking the application? What state? Their date of birth, male, first name, last name. Then you see all these little tabs over here. You just keep going through the entire application until you have green check marks on everything, and then it's going to prompt you to go ahead and sign it. What I would recommend is using a tablet or a laptop with a touchscreen, so that way you can do the signature right there. The clients you can use a stylus, or you just use your finger so they can sign the application.
Hey, Joe, can I ask a question?
Sure, yes.
So if you're doing the e-application, is it a requirement that the proposed insured have an email address?
It is if you're doing email signatures.
Okay, but if you're not doing an email signature, it's not a requirement that they have it.
I don't think so, although it does ask for, let's see here. I was watching that webinar too, and it did talk about putting in an email address, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to answer that question with definity.
Okay.
But I'm thinking that as long as you're doing a face-to-face, that they don't need an email address. But I know for sure if you're doing email signatures, they need an email address, and so do all parties need a separate email address.
Okay.
So as an example, if you're doing an app, but let's say you're doing an app on the husband, but the wife is going to be the payor of the policy with her checking account, both parties would need email addresses to do it.
Okay.
Now, if it's face to face and That I honestly, I don't know for sure. I was thinking about that too. It may tell us in here. Here's some tips on do's and don'ts for e-applications. Guys, I think these are pretty much common sense, but follow the following practices are prohibited and can lead to disciplinary action, including termination of your agent agreement. So don't mess around with this. Here's the first one. If you're signing the e-application or other documents on behalf of the consumer, this is considered fraudulent. So they have to do their own signature, guys. You can't make up an email address and send it to yourself and e-sign it, and you can't do it as if you're not face to face with the customer. You can't write the app. In other words, go home and do it and just sign for the client. You get in huge trouble for that. If that app were ever to get audited and the client says they never signed it, you're creating a lot of problems for yourself. Signing the e-app or other documents on behalf of another agent is considered fraudulent. Okay, so don't do it if you're working with a partner, if you're working with a buddy, they need to do their own applications. Don't do it for them. The agent is required to ask the proposed insured to respond to the health questions. The agent is not allowed to have an other party, being the owner, spouse, child, sibling, provide answers to the health questions. That's part of the underwriting process. If the person you're writing the app on is not physically or mentally able to communicate and answer the health questions, guys, they don't qualify. So you don't write the app if they can't answer the health questions. All right, just kind of common sense stuff. Let's see here. Do complete and submit the e-application with 7 days. I think that's it has to be when you do the application, it has to be submitted within 7 days. Typically, you're going to submit it right then and there. You're going to capture the signatures and you're going to submit. All signatures must be at the same location at the same time. What is required for email signatures? The agent, this is if you're doing it by email, Jimmy. The agent, proposed insured, or policy owner are required to have their own separate email addresses. E-signing will require the client's signature to be collected the same day from when the agent sends an email to their client. Okay. Now, typically, we're not doing business this way, but hypothetically, let's say you're in the home and you're making a presentation and you're just not prepared to do Americo. You don't have your laptop or whatever the case is, or maybe you can't get an internet connection, and you quote it and you let the client know that, hey, we're gonna do this electronically. I'm gonna email it to you. You can do that. Just make sure that they have an email address. And let's see, we got a few more things. If you're experiencing technical issues with the sales connection or the e-application process, if or when the e-application is not available, don't have your client sign a blank sheet of paper or a paper application for another product. I think that's pretty much common sense. That's what we were just talking about. If using email signature, proposed insured and or proposed owner are required to have their own email address. We've already covered that. If you use a share screen option, don't sign on behalf of the client. After reading this, Jimmy, I'm kind of inclined to think that as long as you're doing it face to face, they don't need an email address.
Okay. Hey, Joe, can I say something here?
Yeah.
You expressed very clearly, don't do it if you're not in front of that person. Don't go home and do it later, and don't think that you're going to get away with it, because see, when you're processing the e-applications, they're able to see the URL, and they're able to see like your, what do you call it, your IP address. So if you're supposedly doing the in-person signatures and you start the signatures in one house and then you go home and you finish it up, they're going to see that was changed and it wasn't done at the same location. And the same thing with the email. Don't create an email, send it to them, and then sign it for them, because they're going to see that it wasn't from a different IP. So just do it straight up, do it right. Don't take any chances. Um, I just wanted to express that. So
Yeah. You're right. I didn't really hit that home hard enough, but you're exactly right, because if they catch it, and they probably will, then that will probably prompt a phone interview. And then, your clients will be, well, I don't even have an email address. So just don't go down that way, man. Just don't do it.
it's a
Not
slip.
worth it. Why sell? Why Eagle Premier Series? Just a couple of highlights here. Number one, instant underwriting decision. When you complete the application, you're going to get a policy number provided immediately. Policy is typically mailed out within 1 business day, which means, man, your clients are getting their policy within a week or so. You never have to worry about amendments. You got no paperwork, and this business, the Eagle Premier, is going to participate in for the You First 8% bonus, which I'll cover at the end of the webinar. Here's the microsite I was talking about. Here's where I got a lot of the information that I'm covering with you guys today, is off of this Americo EaglePremierSeries.com. Guys, this is an amazing little website for you to learn more about the product. If you go into like e-application, there's a whole webinar that you can watch that explains exactly how to do the e-application. It covers the product. It's really, really a nice little robust microsite for you to get additional information. Highly recommend checking this out. Quoting tools. Easiest way to quote it is just download this link to your phone. It's quote.americo.com. Gives you quick access. You just save it to your, go there, pull it up, and then save it to your home screen, and it'll work just like an app. Same thing we do with like the Transamerica quoting tool. Works great. The other way to do it is you can log into Sales Connection, but that's going to require you actually logging into the website. For on-the-fly quotes, using your phone, I'd recommend the quoting tool. Commission schedule. So let me just go over this really, really quick, because you really need to kind of understand this. This could be important. I just don't want anybody to get any surprises on their commission. Now, this commission schedule, I'm assuming that you're at, I pulled up the one for 100% contract. So if you're at 85%, it's going to apply. If you're at 95, 100, or if you're at 110, okay? The Eagle Premier pays out the highest commission. So if you're at 100% contract, as an example, if you're selling clients between the ages of 60 and 80, you're going to get your regular commission. It's going to be 100%. You can see right here. However, if you're selling to the younger ages, 50 to 59, it's a 15-point reduction in commission. You need to be aware of that. Why is it like that? I have no idea. Maybe they've priced it a little bit more competitively on the younger ages to capture more of that business. And because it is more competitive, you can take a little bit of a haircut on commission. But here's what I can tell you. If the client is if they're 50 years old and they're a good fit for Eagle Premier, and it's going to offer them same day coverage for a lower rate than going with another company where they might have to get standard or graded benefit, totally worth it. Always do what's best for the client. You, as an agent, you just need to be aware of the slight difference in commission. Now, if they're over 80, if they're between the ages of 81 and 85, it's a 5-point reduction in commission. which is not bad because some carriers are like 20 points reduction in commission.
40.
What Mutual's 40, right?
Yep.
Mutual of Omaha, yeah, 40-point reduction. Okay, they really don't want that business. Ultra Protector, check this out, guys. The old Ultra Protector product is right off the bat is a 20-point hit in commission. So I would, if it were me, I would totally stay away from Ultra Protector. I would, with Final Expense, I'd only be doing the Eagle Premier Series with Americo. Okay. Oh, and their guaranteed issue product, guys, don't even think about it. They do have a guaranteed issue product. It is outrageously priced. It's at least 30 to 40% more expensive than AIG or Gerber, and it's about a 70% hit in commission. So they have it, but it's useless. Don't even worry about it. Okay, we're going to be focusing on the level benefit Eagle Premier coverage. Jimmy, any questions on the commission?
No, great job, Joe.
Okay, all right. So if you need to know how to get in contact with Americo, this is the best phone number. And guys, you can always go back and look at these different email addresses if you need their mailing address. But this is the main number if you have any questions. In preparation for this webinar, I called them like 3 or 4 times asking questions on different things. They are extremely helpful. I got through every time. I don't think I was on hold for more than maybe 5 minutes each time I called. And the person I talked to I think 3 or 4 different people, and all of them extremely helpful, got me the answers that I was looking for. Okay, this is kind of a reference sheet of the Eagle Premier series. So we'll just kind of go through this. Issue ages. Issue ages are from 50 to 85 if they are a non-smoker. If they are a smoker, it cuts off at age 80. Okay. Competitive features. 2 instant decision process available. You can do an e-application. You can do a telephonic application. It's simplified issue. They have the Quit Smoking Advantage program, which we're going to go over in a minute. It qualifies smokers to qualify for a non-smoking rate. They have extremely low face amounts. If you have agents that are or clients that are on an extremely tight budget, or they just need an ad, let's say they already have a $10,000 policy and it's in really good shape, they just need to add an extra $2,000 or $3,000. You can do a policy for as low as $2,000, a maximum of $30,000. Death benefit, same day death benefit. So remember, on Eagle Premier, we're really looking at this as a 1-tier product. They either qualify or they're going to go guaranteed issue, which you're not going to do. Okay, there's not a preferred or standard. So it's either that they're good to go or they're not. So they have to be able to answer all the questions no. Riders and features, accidental death benefit rider included, which means is that which is kind of cool, when you quote Eagle Premier, it's coming with the accidental rider already built in. There's no extra charge for it. And it's good at all ages. So if you're writing a client who's 85 years old, they still get the accidental death benefit. And it also includes automatically the common carrier, which will triple the death benefit. That's included as well. So if they were to die as a fare paying passenger on a bus, train, airplane, whatever, and they pass away because of that accident, it's going to pay out triple the death benefit. Accelerated death benefit, that's automatically included at no extra cost. I would check your state just to see the availability and see if there's any limitations to the accelerated death benefit. I believe it's up to 50% that you can accelerate it. I think I have a slide on that here in just a little bit. And there's also a child and grandchild rider that's available as well. Here's a real quick note, replacements. Replacements are allowed with e-application only. So if you're doing the telephone application, you cannot do that and do a replacement. But if you're doing an e-app, you can do it. Their height and weight chart is relatively pretty liberal. It's within a pound or two of Mutual of Omaha. Um, as an example, I'll just go by my height. I'm about 5'9". I could weigh 287 pounds. So, I mean, I could gain 60, 70 pounds and still fit within their parameters. So pretty loose. 5'10", you can be 296. As an example, with Mutual of Omaha, if you're 5'10", I think it's right around, it's either 300 or 305, something like that. So it's very, very competitive, very, very close to what the other carriers allow for height and weight. But just be careful of that. I see a lot of agents do applications and then the app gets turned down because the clients are overweight. That should never happen. Always have the build chart handy so you can double check their weight. Guys, moving on, there are two ways to submit the Eagle Premier application. The point of sale decision has never been easier. Let's see, you do the e-application. This is designed for touchscreen devices. It's available 24/7. You get the quick underwriting decision. It displays on your screen, and there's no phone call. Or you can do a telephonic app. Telephone app, you do not have to be face-to-face. You can do this over the phone. So this would be a great way if you have a client that maybe their policy has lapsed, or maybe they're too far, or it's a referral. There's a lot of ways that you could use this telephone app, but their hours are very generous. The underwriting decision, you drive the call, and you get an instant decision. They're going to run the RX, the MIB results are returned quickly. Policy number provided immediately. Policy usually mailed within 1 business days. You have no amendments and no paperwork. So pretty cool. I really like that. Jimmy, at any time, anything you want to add, or any comments or questions? Hopefully I could answer them for you.
Doing great, Joe.
Thanks, man. Well, moving on with just some of the basic underwriting, I won't say issues, but just underwriting in general on this product. With the Eagle Premier, basically what they're going to do is they're going to run the MIB. Just make sure that you go through all the health questions. All the health questions have to be answered no, okay? Except for the smoking. The smoking, they can answer yes to that. Make sure you check the height and weight. Make sure within the guidelines, and they're gonna run the MIB and the prescription check. As long as they're clean, your clients should get approved. Here's what I'll tell you, and I'll go through this a little bit later in the call, is that the Eagle Premier Series is kind of a weighted application. So technically, you could have a client that answered no to all the questions, but maybe it's because of a combination of different medications and their height and weight. So it's not an automatic approval just because they answer no. They are going to look at the MIB and the prescription history. Let's see, Eagle guaranteed issue. We're not even going to worry about that because we're not going to be selling it. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about their quit smoking advantage program. This is really really cool. It really gives I think Americo a huge advantage. Let's face it, guys, our demographics, the people that we're out there serving, a lot of smokers out there. A lot of seniors know that they need to quit. A lot of seniors are in the process of quitting. Maybe they're down to, maybe they quit 3 months ago, but maybe they're in the process of quitting. They're not smoking cigarettes, but they're using a nicotine patch, or maybe they're using an e-cig to kind of wean themselves off. Well, on all the other products that we have, you would have to mark them as a smoker. Okay. meaning they have to get the smoking rate, whether they're smoking or even if they quit 6 months ago. On all of our applications, most of the carriers, they have a 12-month look back on nicotine use. Well, with this quick smoking advantage, is it for your clients that are in the process or they're trying to quit, it allows you to give them a non-smoking rate, and it gives the client 3 years from the time that you write the application to have quit smoking and do a swab test to show negative nicotine in their system, and then they will continue to get the non-smoking rates. It's pretty cool. I've got some more slides on how this works. This just says, hey man, it's time to quit smoking. Quit smoking advantage encourages clients to quit smoking while helping them save money. Smokers can receive non-smoker rates in the first 3 years. So if the insured provides evidence that they quit smoking for at least 12 consecutive months during the first 3 years, they will continue to receive the non-smoking rates for the life of the policy. The earliest the insured can verify they've quit smoking would be upon their first policy anniversary. Eagle Premier quote should be run for the smoker rates. So when you're doing the application, if your client they are a smoker, but we're going to apply for the smoker's advantage, you would still go ahead and mark them as a smoker, so Americo knows that they're a smoker, but they're going to receive the non-smoking rates. The earliest, again, I'm going to reemphasize this, the earliest they can submit for evidence is 1 year after the policy has been issued. So hypothetically, let me run this scenario by you. Let's say you're sitting with a client, and let's say they haven't smoked in 6 months. They quit 6 months ago. Well, you write the application today. Now, technically, 6 months from now, they would have quit for a year, right? But Americo will not send them the swab kit for at least 1 year after the application is written. So by that time, they really would have been a non-smoker for 18 months at that point. So they send it back, and they're going to continue to get those non-smoking rates. I think this is a real competitive advantage to their program. Here's just a few additional benefits. I think we've covered some of these, but I mentioned about the accidental death benefit rider. Guys, that's included in the policy for no additional fee. Also, I talked about includes the common carrier rider, which will triple the death benefit. Also comes with the accelerated death benefit, which the clients can receive up to 50% of the death benefit. And then accidental death, this is just talking about the guaranteed issue. They'll receive, if they die of an accident within the first 3 years, accidentally, they're going to get the death benefit. That's just specifically talking about the Eagle, the guaranteed issue policy, which, remember, we're not going to be selling that anyway. Okay. Jimmy, any questions up to this point?
Yep. Joe, can you cover, because I know other people are thinking this. So what if they send out the swab and turns out that they did not quit smoking?
Well, two things on that, Jimmy. Okay, so let's go back and talk about that. You bring up a good point. I should have covered that. Okay. Number one, and this is a great point. Number one is that Americo is not going to take the initiative to contact your clients within the first 3 years to ask them, hey, did you quit smoking? They want you, the agent, to do that. So what I'm doing, and what I would recommend you do, is create like an extra file. Like anytime you write an Americo app on a quit smoking advantage program, is create like an extra, like a separate file, and keep in contact with those clients just to find out if they did quit smoking, so you can order the swab kit, because Americo is not going to automatically send it out. Now, if it turns out that, I'll give you two scenarios. Let's say they get the swab kit, they send it back, and it's positive with nicotine. Well, then the client has an option. They can do one or two things. They can either go ahead and keep the face amount the same and just take the higher premium, what the smoker rate would be, or they can leave their premiums the same. If they're comfortable with those premiums, they can leave those the same, and Americo will lower their face amount to match the smoking rate to what the premium should be. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you don't contact the client and the client never contacts Americo, in 3 years, Americo is automatically going to adjust their policy to the smoker rate. Now they don't increase the, let me rephrase that. They don't increase the rate. They're going to automatically reduce the death benefit to match what the premium should have been 3 years ago based on the smoking rate. So as an example, let's say I take out a policy for 10 grand and I'm paying $65 a month. 3 years from now, I never contact Americo to let them know I'm either smoking or not smoking. Americo is going to assume that you are still smoking and you have surpassed your 3-year time period. They're going to go ahead and they're going to keep your premiums the same, $65 a month, and they're going to lower the face amount to match what the premium should have been 3 years ago. Hypothetically, let's say it's 7 grand. So now instead of $65 a month for 10,000, it's $65 a month for 7,000. And then they will send out a letter, let them know what happened. If it were me as the agent, I would keep a file on these people. And in 2 years from now, the ones that are still smoking, and let's say their health hasn't changed, I don't know, man, I'd probably write them a different policy, because if they're not going to quit, if they're like, I can't quit, I'm never going to quit. Well, maybe you can find them another policy for a smoker that is more competitive. Because what I can tell you, the Eagle Premier Series smoker rate is not very competitive. Non-smoking rate, super competitive. So
Yeah, you can shop it, but also keep in mind that they're past the 2-year contestability period, so you may want to just leave that in force too, just depending on their medical condition.
true. Yeah, they just need to be aware of they're gonna, their face amount is gonna be reduced. But yeah, you're right. They are past the 2-year contestability period. Good point on that. I wasn't thinking about that. All right, guys, let's move on. We're getting to the worksheet. So if you're going to do the e-application, there's just a very simple 2-page worksheet you want to do before you start doing that, because you should be asking them all the health questions. All this information is pretty basic. It's the same as that you would get on any information. You're just collecting, their name, social security number, where they were born, height and weight, owner information, beneficiary information, product information, the payer information, who do they bank with, and then you're going to transition into the to the health questions. Okay. This first set of questions, all the way down to question number 5. These are like ever questions, like ever in your life has this ever happened. So if they answer yes to, if any of this has ever happened, they're not going to qualify. The first one is just talking about nicotine use. If they've used nicotine in the last 12 months, here you're double checking their height and weight. And then the second, in part question 4, they're talking about Alzheimer's disease, dementia, memory loss, muscular dystrophy, ALS. Those are all knockout, guys. If they've ever been diagnosed with that, they're out of the game. Congestive heart failure, if they've ever had a defibrillator or a defibrillator placement. Oh, I was just thinking something. I think I might have misread something earlier. Okay, congestive heart failure, defibrillator placement, cardiomyopathy, kidney disease, disease or kidney failure, kidney dialysis, all knockouts. Cirrhosis of the liver, knockout. If they have COPD, emphysema, chronic lung disease, if they're using an inhaler on a daily basis or oxygen, knockout. Don't even consider it. Cancer. Okay, if they've ever had cancer that has spread to other parts of the body, metastasized, or if they've had 2 or more occurrences of cancer of any kind, or a reoccurrence of a same cancer, don't even apply. But here's where it gets interesting. Question 6. For regular cancer, they only have a 2-year look back on cancer. Actually, I'm sorry, that is 6 is about the diabetes. I'll get to that. Let me cover that first. Just the writing here is kind of small. Question 6, in the past 24 months, have you been diagnosed, treated, tested positive, or been given medical advice by a licensed member of the medical profession for, okay, it is talking about internal cancer, brain tumor, or malignant melanoma. So on cancer, as long as it's not a reoccurring or a cancer that metastasized, they only need to be cancer-free for 2 years, which is really good because a lot of carriers we have are 3 or 4 year look back. The second part of this is talking about complications with diabetes. So complication of diabetes, including amputation. Now, this is kind of we just had this come up a while back. With most carriers, the amputation due to disease or diabetes is typically a knockout question. This application is only having a 2-year look back. I'm reading that as if you have a client that has diabetes and they had to get a toe amputated 3 years ago, they're okay as long as they can answer no to all the other questions. Now, chances are if they had a toe amputated, they probably have neuropathy and other things. But I'm just saying that's only a 2-year look back. There's also, for diabetes, there's no mention of insulin use or age. So they only ask about complications of diabetes, like amputation within the last 2 years or neuropathy, insulin shock, or diabetic coma. Okay, so you could have a client that has been, diabetic since they were a kid, and as long as they haven't had those complications, they're going to be okay for the preferred rate for that level benefit.
Hey, Joe, I might have missed this, but what's the age for this application?
50.
Okay, so it's 50 and older. Okay.
50 up to age 85, as long as they're a non-smoker.
Okay.
If they smoke, 80 is the maximum age.
Okay.
Okay, so now here's another big, check this out, Jimmy. That's about AIDS. Question 9. Let me read question 9 to you guys. In the past 12 months, have you been diagnosed, treated, tested positive, been given medical advice or prescribed medication by a licensed member of the medical profession for angioplasty, stent placement, heart bypass surgery, stroke, heart attack, heart valve disease, coronary artery disease, and angina? So there's only a 1 year look back for a heart attack and stroke. So you could have a client that had a heart attack, 13 months ago, and potentially they're going to qualify for Eagle Premier level benefit. Most of the other carriers we have, it's a minimum 2 year look back on that. I think that's pretty cool. Now, I did ask the question when I called in and I talked to an underwriter. I did talk to a question about, well, what about blood thinners? Are you considering blood thinners to be treatment? A little bit of a gray area there. As long as if they can be on blood thinners, but as long as the medication has been steady and there's no changes within their medication for the last 12 months, they should be good to go. But on their MIB, for example, if they were prescribed blood thinners and then the client stopped getting their prescription filled, or if they see changes in the blood thinner, like different doses, chances are that's going to be a decline. So you got to be a little bit careful on clients that maybe are taking some blood thinner medication. But I think that's a pretty good competitive advantage that technically they only have a 1 year look back for a heart attack and stroke. And in question 11, going to be a little bit careful here. This has a 6-month look back. So if your clients have been hospitalized for more than 48 hours, if they've been bedridden, confined or living in a nursing facility or correctional facility, they're not going to be considered. So they could have been hospitalized, and if it was 8 months ago, or they could have had surgery, or maybe they had to go to the hospital, but they were only there for 24 hours or 36 hours. That's okay. They're looking for a hospitalization no longer than 4 days, 48 hours. No, 48 hours is 2 days, right? Sorry.
Yeah, but only 6-month look back.
Only a 6-month look back on that. Sorry about that. 48 hours is 2 days, not 4. And they're also looking at, have they received, nursing home care, hospice care, oxygen. There's only a 6-month look back. So maybe your client was having some breathing issues and they temporarily were prescribed oxygen, but now they're not using it and it was over 6 months ago. Then they should be okay. So guys, this is the worksheet. So as long as you're answering no to all these questions, I would go ahead and submit it. And you got a really good shot of it getting approved. If it doesn't get approved, you know what? No big deal. Move on. Find another carrier. Now, I did update the cheat sheet with this, but I think I made a mistake on something, which I'm going to have to get corrected. But again, if you need a copy of this, let me know. But we're just for heart attack, as long as it was after a year, you should be okay depending on their medication. Heart surgeries, there's the look back level benefit. Stroke, you're good. Congestive heart failure, decline. AFib should be okay. It's not listed on there. It's not considered a heart disease. Pacemaker implant, this is where I think I messed up. I'm going to have to call and find out because on the application, it does not say pacemaker. I think I was reading and I saw a placement and I mistook that for pacemaker. The question 4, part B, says congested heart failure, defibrillator placement, cardiomyopathy. Nowhere in there does it say pacemaker. So I'm going to double check, but I'm going to say pacemaker, as long as it was installed over a year ago. I'm guessing we're going to be okay with that, but I'll double check. That could be, you could check up on that on your own too. This is not a good product for people with COPD. Okay, we've got other carriers for that, Transamerica or Liberty Bankers. Oxygen use, as long as it was over 6 months ago, going to get a level benefit. Alzheimer's or dementia, forget about it. Bipolar, they're cool. Parkinson's, they're good as long as they are functioning and they don't need help with daily activities. Cerebral palsy, not on the list. Nowhere on this application does it talk about neurological or nervous disorder disease. So again, they can have cerebral palsy as long as they're, functioning, they haven't been hospitalized, and you're answering no to all those other questions, should be good to go. Same with multiple sclerosis. Okay, so they're really covering a lot of stuff here. Remember, it is kind of a weighted application, so you just gotta, so if they, if they have multiple sclerosis and they're, they're diabetic and they're, at the top of the weight chart, good chance it may be declined. Okay. Diabetes, I think we covered that pretty good. They are very liberal on diabetes as far as insulin use and when they started, but they are not very liberal when it comes to complications, including neuropathy. So you're good to go in a lot of cases with their kidney dialysis. Would be great at internal cancer. Again, man, only a 2-year look back on cancer. Systemic lupus, not on there. So as long as they're full functioning, you should be good to go. Wheelchair use, if they're currently in a wheelchair, forget about it. It's going to be great at blood thinners, as long as they've been on it for a year and there's been no changes. And then height and weight, just see the build chart. E-application, there's no phone interview. So guys, we're really kind of getting down to the end of the training here. This is pretty good. We're about right on time. Last thing I want to talk to you about is the Americo, what they call it's the You First Reward 8% bonus. I think this is pretty cool. So a few years back, Americo stopped doing trips because they had a lot of agents that weren't into going on trips. They didn't like doing functions with a bunch of other agents, and or the timing wasn't right. They couldn't take the trip because it coordinated with their kids' spring break or whatever it is. So they came out with this unique You First bonus, which is pretty cool. What I like about the You First is that it gives you an opportunity to qualify twice a year. This is great for new agents. Let's say you just got contracted with us today, or let's say in May, and it really doesn't give you much time to write, $75,000 to $80,000 of business to go on a trip, because that's typically what it is. They have broken it down into 6-month increments where you only have to do $35,000 to qualify for the bonus. And the first qualification, it runs from December 1st through May. Okay, that's a 6-month period. They time that, so by the end of May, if you hit the bonus, you're going to get a nice little check right around summertime, so you can take the family on a nice summer vacation. And then the next time period is from June till the end of November. That's another bonus time. And basically what it is that they're just going to take, as long as you've issued paid $35,000 in business, they're going to give you an 8% bonus above and beyond your normal commission. So if I just take 35,000 times 0.08, that's $2,800. So if you hit this, you're going to get a check in June for $2,800, and then in December, right before Christmas, you'll get another check for $2,800. So that's a total of $5,600 minimum in bonus. Now they do pay out a top 5 bonus. So if you are their number 1 agent in the country, you're going to receive an additional $5,000 bonus. Second place is $4,000. Third place is $3,000. Fourth place is $2,000. Fifth place is an extra $1,000, and that's every 6 months that they'll pay that. So, guys, that concludes the overview of the Americo Eagle Premier Series. Hopefully, this has been helpful for you guys. Jimmy, any questions before we sign off?
No, great job, Joe.
Awesome, awesome. All right, guys, everybody have a great weekend. And if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Try to get those questions answered for you. All right, everybody, God bless. Have a great weekend. Take care.